It's Heart Health Month, which means it's a perfect time for us to talk about blood pressure. So today, I'm going to share 5 things you need to know about your blood pressure. Number 1, know your number. High blood pressure has been called the silent killer. Why? Because most people who have high blood pressure are not even aware it's elevated. They have no symptoms. So regardless of your age, knowing your number can make all the difference in the world. It can prevent chronic health conditions like heart attack, stroke, kidney disease, and ultimately death. So knowing your number is super important. Number 2, how do I measure my blood pressure? Well, in today's world, that is super easy. Start off by going to see your family doctor on an annual basis and have him do it there. Ask him about it. Ask him questions about your blood pressure so that you can understand it a little bit more. Next stop, your pharmacy. It's free of charge. They have cuffs there that you can do, and the pharmacist is there again as a healthcare professional to provide you more information if you have questions about your number. Number 3, you can buy an automated blood pressure cuff to have at home. And there are many of them, and they're not that cost prohibitive these days. Number 3, wearable devices. More and more, there are wearable devices that can measure your blood pressure. The only trick here is that you're going to have an automated blood pressure cuff at home so that you can calibrate your device on a regular basis to ensure it's measuring accurately. Number 3, understanding that blood pressure can be affected by many different things. Genetics can cause our blood pressure to be elevated. Our activity or lack of activity can cause our blood pressure to be low or high. Our diet can impact our blood pressure. Having too much sodium, not enough potassium in our diet can cause our blood pressure. Too much sodium will cause our blood pressure to be high. Not enough potassium can also cause our blood pressure to be high. Medications can also cause our blood pressure to be high. So understanding what can cause our blood pressure to be elevated is really important for us so that we can understand how we can better control our blood pressure. Number 4, what should my blood pressure run? Well, normal blood pressure is equal to or less than 120/80. Understanding that blood pressure can vary throughout the day is really important. Also understanding that blood pressure, as I've already mentioned, is impacted on how we move around. So when you're checking your blood pressure, it's important to make sure that you're sitting flat, that not sitting flat, that your feet are flat on the floor, which is what I meant to say, that you haven't had any caffeine, and that you're in a calm state and you haven't just run up and down the stairs. Measure your blood pressure. If it's elevated, don't panic. Just sit back, relax, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and measure again. If it continues to be elevated, that's a time where it would be a good idea, or I strongly recommend, making an appointment to go have a conversation with your doctor, because your doctor or even your pharmacist at your local pharmacy can help you troubleshoot what potentially could be causing your blood pressure to be elevated. Don't be afraid of investigating this. It is because I promise that understanding the why behind it being elevated can really impact in a positive way the outcomes of your health. And number 5, understanding that blood pressure isn't just about having a stroke reducing the risk of having a stroke or reducing the risk of having a heart attack. It also can be a measure of how we're doing mentally. If our anxiety is high, if we are finding that we're not coping well with the curveballs that life throws our way, I guarantee you that our anxiety level is going to be elevated. And when our anxiety level is elevated, our blood pressure typically and our heart rate typically go up. And so again, understanding what that number is can help give us some insight into what's going on in our life and ultimately help us figure out how to manage things that are happening, both mentally and physically, and ultimately help us ensure that we don't negatively impact either our mental or physical health in the long run. So, 5 important things to know about your blood pressure. Super simple, and don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any further questions, or reach out to your doctor, or like I said, your local pharmacist. Take care, and happy Heart Month.